Hello friends, and welcome to this tutorial. Please subscribe if you like the content. Today I'll teach you how to install macOS Mojave 10.14.6 on Ryzen laptops. I've got Lenovo Ideapad 330, Ryzen 5 2500U, and I'll be installing Mojave on this laptop today. This tutorial is applicable to all Ryzen laptops. It's not just Lenovo or any other. It can be applied to any laptop which has Ryzen CPU. But there are certain things that you need to keep in mind. First of all, the links for the tutorial are in the description. And please, I would like to request you again, please subscribe if you like my work. So first of all, let's look at the problems we have. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth and touchpad. At least on Lenovo Ideapad 330, they do not work. Wi-Fi will probably never work because the chipset we have is not supported on Macs in any way. Bluetooth may work and may not work. It's something that will have to be fixed later. Touchpad, so far I have not been able to get it to work. It's ELAN touchpad on our Lenovo Ideapad 330, but it may work for you. Depending on what hardware you have, these things may and may not work. So I've already told you. But these things should not be a big deterrent because you can easily buy a USB Wi-Fi adapter. And as for touchpad, you can use mouse for the time being. As I said, I will be working on the touchpad. This can be fixed. It's not that it is impossible to fix, but right now it doesn't work. So you will need a USB mouse for installing and using Mac. Also, uh, there is some problem with audio, but I have not listed it here because it's not that great. The first priority is to install and at least make the Mac usable. Audio can be fixed. I have the audio, but only through the 3.5 mm jack right now. I've not been able to get my speaker to work because I haven't really worked on that part. I've been more focused on the graphics part. We are getting to it. The GPU. If you have only one graphics card, like me, the Vega 8, which is on this Lenovo Ideapad 330. If you have any Vega series GPU or iGPU, then there will be no 3D acceleration, no heavy graphics application, no transparency. But with frame buffer driver, it's usable. At least for me, I was able to play full HD videos in YouTube in Safari. And if you have two cards on your laptop, and if you have an extra ATI card, you may be lucky and you may have full graphics acceleration. Of course, the may is the highlighted word here. If you have that, there are some laptops which come with dual. I have seen some Ryzen laptops that come with dual cards, so if you are lucky, you may get a fully working Mac. So the next step is to create a partition on your disk and format it as, sorry, I have mistyped it, it doesn't even matter. Format it as NTFS, because if you don't do that, we will not see any disk in disk utility when we are going to install. So create a partition and format it as NTFS. That's something you have to do. Whatever size, that's your preference, and just follow the rest of the video because we're going to the next step where I'll show you how to install or how to create the installer, and then I'll show you how to install. And we will be installing Mojave, of course. I will later provide a video for installing Catalina because I was able to install Catalina, but let's start with Mojave for now. And I'm sorry for this text thing. I just wanted to keep it short, and I wanted to uh, make this video as short as possible. I've still managed to take so much time. Sorry for that. Now let's turn to the next part where we'll learn how to create the USB installer. So let's get started. I have uploaded this file. You can download it from the links below and copy this. It's a magnet link, and this is Mojave 10.14.6. Once you have copied it, open any torrent manager. If you have uTorrent, or if you're using Linux, you can use Transmission, Q, BitTorrent, or anything. I have BitTorrent here. Any torrent download manager would work. So for BitTorrent, what you have to do is click on this icon here. As you can see, the copied text was already put into this box. What we have to do here is delete this comment and press on OK. Since I've already added this, it says the torrent you're trying to add is already in the list. I'll just press yes, and after a while you will see that 10.14.6, or it's just 10.14.6. It's named in short 10.14.6 USB ISO. That's what you will get when you download. I haven't actually downloaded it. I had this file, but somehow it just got deleted. But that's not something to worry about. I have here 10.13.6. So I'll be using this to teach you how to make the installer, but you will be using 10.14.6 installer. It's the same thing, do not worry about it. It doesn't matter which version I'm using. You will still need at least 8 gigabytes of USB space on your USB thumb drive to make an installer for Mojave. Better still if you have 16 gigabytes. I've already made the installers. I put 2 versions of Mac on a single USB drive, so I'm able to boot into either Mojave or Catalina, and then I'm able to install either of them. But here we'll just try to make a single bootable USB drive for Mojave, and I'll be using this High Sierra image because it's 5.5, or it's something like 5.73 gigabytes, and I'm on limited connection. I cannot download it. I have already put it on my USB drive, so you don't need to worry about that. Let's move ahead. What you have to do is exactly what I do with this image. You have to double click. If you're in Windows, it will automatically mount. It's an ISO image, so it will automatically mount if you double click on it, just like this, you see, and you will see all these files when you mount it. What you have to do is copy this to your desktop. You don't actually need to copy, but just for convenience, copy this to desktop, extract it. This is our drive imager. What you can do is you may have to turn your antivirus or Windows Defender, because it thinks that the crack here is a virus, so it tries to block it, but it isn't a virus. I have checked this, guys, so don't be worried. What you need to do is just install the hard drive imager. Do not crack it. You still get 31 days of trial, so you don't have to actually install crack. If you want to install crack, you're gonna have to turn off the Windows Defender, re-extract it, and then after having installed RDI hard drive image, you have to paste the crack file which has been deleted in this case because I hadn't turned off the Windows Defender, so it thought it was a virus and it has already deleted that file. You just have to copy the crack file, which will be here, into the directory where this hard drive is installed, most likely in C program files. So we'll just install the trial version. We don't need to worry about the crack here. It's gonna take some time. You can skip ahead. Now we can launch this program, but before doing that, we will not launch it yet. What we want to do is actually close these and keep this window open, because what we're going to do is we don't need this MBR. It's not important for us. What we are going to do here is we'll open the command prompt, press Windows R on your keyboard, Windows plus R, and then type cmd, then type disk part, press yes. Now we will type list disk, and as you can see I have three drives. One is my hard disk and another one is my USB SanDisk Ultra, where I have put both Catalina and Mojave on the same USB drive, but I'll be using this extra 8 gigabytes USB drive to show how to do this, or how to make the installer. What you're going to do is select disk 2. The disk 2 is selected. You need to press, or you need to select the correct disk. Do not select the wrong disk. You may end up deleting your data. I'm not responsible for that. So keep in mind, you have to select the right USB drive or the right drive to make the installer. If you pick the wrong one and clean it, then you may lose some data. So I have picked my 8 gigabytes drive here. As you can see, it says 7388 MB. So what I'm going to type here is just clean. It's done. That's all we have to do here. Close this window, close this one too. We can also close this, but I'll just keep it minimized. I'll close this one, and now we can launch the hard drive image. Okay, click next, restore from an image, and here we need to select our DVD drive, which is K, and from the DVD drive we need to select this image. Be careful. Here I have 10.13.6 or 10.13.6, but you will have 10.14.6 because I'm demonstrating how to create an installer, and you have to do the same. You have to pick 10.14.6 USB, which you have already downloaded from the link I gave you. Now click next, restore disks or partitions. Click next. Okay, now what we need to do is, first of all, you can do this in either order. First select this 6 gigabyte drive, which you see from this image K. This is our DVD drive, and there are two partitions on this drive. So we will select the first partition, which is install macOS High Sierra. This will be the name of the installer, and we need to pick the correct USB thumb drive here. So be careful. This is the 8 GB pen drive that I had cleaned to install, or to make the installer for Mojave. You will see Mojave here, not High Sierra, because I'm using High Sierra image to demonstrate this installation process. But in your case, you will have macOS Mojave here, so you don't need to worry about that. Once you select this, it turns red. Now you have to select the unallocated 7.21 gigabytes of drive and press next, and it's primary. Next, don't start yet. We add another project. We also need to put the EFI on this disk, so we'll go back to this process again, and we will select this time. You will see a very small X partition, which may be hidden sometimes, because if you have a high resolution screen, it might be hidden. You can enlarge the window and check it out. It's X. Usually it's named X always, so you can pick it. It will turn red, and now we need to select the empty space. As you can see, the empty space, that is 609 MB unallocated. Don't pick this one because we have already put the installer macOS High Sierra and Mojave, remember, in your case. So we need to pick this 609, the empty space on the disk, and click next. You don't need to change anything here. Everything is already pre-configured. All you need to do is next and start processing immediately. As soon as I click start, it will start making this installer. As you can see, it's gonna take a long time if I do this, because I have a very slow 8 gigabytes Kingston drive. So you can skip this. I'll skip the video. In your case, it may take time. It may take very long, or it may take very short, depending on the speed of your drive. If you have a USB 3.0 device, then it will take and a USB 3.0 port, then it will take a very short time. So I'll just cancel it, and because I've already made the installer, so I'll not be doing this. It was just for demonstration. I'll just cancel this and close it. We are done with the making installer part of the video. The next process is to start the installation, but before that we also need to actually put the EFI, replace the EFI, because we're not going to use the EFI folder from this drive. We will actually make our own EFI folder for our device, which is Lenovo Ryzen 330, or in any case it is applicable to any Ryzen laptop. It doesn't matter if it's Ryzen 330 Lenovo, or it's Asus or Acer Ryzen laptop. It's same for all of them. So I'll just cancel this. Because I have already made the installer, I can show you. This is my Clover folder. You can ignore these things. These things I have put. The main thing here is the EFI folder. You don't have to touch these things. These things will be there. You can delete post install. It's not important, but it had some important, not some useful applications in case you want to modified DSDT, or it has Clover configurator, or you can keep it or you can delete it. It's your choice. We can install them later, and we also don't need these files, so you can completely ignore them. The main thing here is we have to replace this folder. Once you have succeeded in making the installer with hard drive image, you just have to replace this EFI with the one that I have already uploaded, and the link is below, down below. You can download it, and you just have to replace this folder. What you can do is you can simply select it and delete it. You can simply delete it and then copy, extract, and copy the EFI folder that I have uploaded. I'll not be doing that because I've already done that. You need to replace it. So that's it. Once you have done this part of the process, we will start the installation. I will boot from the USB and we will start installing Mac on our Lenovo Ryzen. So let's do this. It's not cancelled yet. I finally cancelled it. Now I'll boot into the USB and start the installation. So before we start, I would like to give you a quick overview of my BIOS settings. On laptops, I don't think the BIOS setting makes too much of a difference because there aren't too many options that you can configure. But there are some things you must take care of. You may turn AMD SVM technology off. It's disabled in my case. It's better to start with disabled by disabling this feature. USB legacy is enabled, but I don't think it has any impact. You may enable or disable it. And of course, you must disable AMD platform security processor. And the boot mode is legacy and UEFI first, boot priority. USB boot is enabled because we're going to boot from the USB, and this is the USB device that we'll boot from. So let's exit this. Once you boot, I need to restart. It booted from Windows. I'll just turn off my laptop and do it again. By the way, to get into the BIOS, you have to press F2 on Lenovo Ideapad 330, and to get to the boot manager, you have to press F12. I selected my USB drive, and here is the option boot macOS install from macOS base system. That's what we want, and I'll not do anything else. I'll just press enter. Everything is pre-configured. It started booting. If you can't see the video clearly, I'm really sorry about that. It's early morning and the lighting isn't good in this room, so it will be bad. I should have shot this video in the morning in the natural light. So we have arrived at the Apple logo. So now we have reached the installer. We'll go to disk utility and we'll just format our partition. I've already done that, but in your case it will be NTFS, show all devices. You can see the hard disk, 1 TB hard disk here. I have already selected formatted this partition as erased this partition and formatted it as APFS. One more thing, you do not select HFS partition because it will not work. Select you can name it anything and select APFS and press erase. That's it. Close this, select reinstall, next, and now we need select the disk and we click next. The installation has started. It will take around 10 minutes or 10 to 12 minutes, so I'll pause the video. I have restarted my laptop, and I want to tell you one thing, that if your system restarted suddenly when the installation progress was shown as 2 minutes remaining, then you don't have to worry about that. It's normal behavior. I mean, it looks as if it has crashed, but it's totally normal. As you can see, I have this option, boot macOS install from Mac, which was the name of the partition where I put the macOS. And now I won't boot from install. I'll just boot from install Mac OS base system. I'll just boot from macOS install from Mac, and let's see how it goes. You can ignore the system was automatically rebooted because I had a kernel panic because of my USB mouse. It happens to this mouse sometimes, so it's not something you will face. And one more thing I would like to say, if you get stuck somewhere around here when it's loading, then what you need to do is you have to unplug your USB device and put it in another slot. You just have to swap it with from one port to another. That's how it works. If you get stuck, I mean, you don't have to do this unless you get stuck. This is nothing to be worried about. This is no hang. It's normal. It takes time here. By the way, the install didn't take that many minutes. It only took around 3 to 4 minutes for me. It depends on the speed of your hard disk. On SSDs it may be even faster. So finally we have booted from the hard disk, and now the install process will continue. This time it's going to take some time, and most likely it will take around 10 to 15 minutes this time. See, the installation has started, and as you can see, it shows 16 minutes remaining. You may not be able to see it because of my autofocus issue, but it shows 16 minutes remaining and it's gonna take some time. I will pause the video again. By the way, if you got any error on the previous while it was copying to the hard disk, then please drop a comment in the comment section. I'll reply and I'll try to help you. I didn't get any error. It just works so well. I mean, there was nothing that I had to do to make it work. And as I said, if it crashes on 2 minutes remaining marks, it looks as if it crashed. I mean, it's not a crash. It normally exits the graphical interface when there is 2 minutes remaining and starts rebooting. If that happens on the previous screen, do not be worried. Let it restart. When it restarts, boot from the USB installer. Not from the USB installer, but from the hard disk. Boot from the hard disk, and you will be fine, just like we have it right now. Still 16 minutes remaining. It's gonna take some time, so I'll better stop recording here, and I'll come back when there is like 1 minute or little time left, so that we don't prolong this video. It's showing about 2 minutes remaining again, and now we will be able to finally get out of the installer. It's not exactly 2 minutes, it takes longer than 2 minutes. I'm just waiting for it to complete. Once it's installed, you do the usual setup. You have the USB mouse, so that's not a problem. I could finish the video right here. I mean, everyone knows how to configure, and I don't think there's any problem with booting, but I'll still prolong this video a little more, and I'll show you when it really boots. Now it says about a minute remaining. It's still gonna take some time. I'll just try to hold the camera for as long as I can. Let's see. It's early morning. I haven't really been able to sleep. I just wanted to do this video for a long time. I didn't have time. Finally I had some, so I gotta use it. Of course, I wasn't able to do something about the bad camera on my Redmi Note 4. I mean, the focus is terrible. Now it says less than a minute remaining. Come on, boot. Let me just pause the video for a while. Let me tell you once again, if you face any problem while installing or while creating the installer, please do leave a comment. I'll try to reply as soon as possible, and I'll try to fix your problems. One possible error that you may face if you have Windows installed on, while installing Mac, is that you may get a media kit error while formatting NTFS drive. That will happen because your EFI partition is too small. So we have managed to boot. Well, it will get stuck on my USB mouse, so don't worry, the kernel panic is totally normal for me. It's just some USB problem that is there. It can be fixed, it's not that difficult. I haven't had time to actually work on it. It's just a panic which happens when I restart, and as you can see, the panic happens with some USB kexts and particularly when I have this mouse connected. Without, if I plug the mouse out, there won't be any uh, panic. So now I'll just shut down my machine and restart from the power button. This time I'll boot from the hard disk. As you can see, the Mac has been installed. Boot macOS from Mac. I've selected that option and I'll click enter, and again the system was automatically rebooted after. Panic is for me because I had that kernel panic at the end. It doesn't happen often, it happens sometimes, and particularly with this mouse. I'll work on it and I'll be able to fix it. First boot will take some time. It's rebuilding caches. It's not stuck here. The thing I said about being stuck is you will get some USB warning if it gets stuck. Then what you will have to do is just swap your USB port. There's nothing else to that. We do have some problem with USB, but there is already a fix on AMD OS X, native Ryzen support for Ryzen desktops, but I haven't actually seen it being implemented on a laptop, and I haven't actually followed the guide, too well. I just took a look at it, a superficial look at it, and I didn't get too much out of it. I looked for what they said in my DSDT and I couldn't find it, so I was a bit confused about it. Excuse me. So these errors are normal, so don't worry about them, it will boot. And so I was talking about this USB. So without generic XHCI kext, we are not able to boot into the Mac. And with this kext, the problem is that some of the USB devices do not work. I mean, the mouse and keyboard and other devices and USB devices do work, but modems and tethering devices do not work. You have to boot without generic XHCI kexts to make them work. I was able to do that, and when I did that, I was able to connect to USB tethering through my Redmi Note 4. I installed some applications. So we have booted into our MacOS Mojave on our Lenovo Ryzen. It's normal setup. I will not connect to internet. It did not detect any Wi-Fi. I have the Realtek Ethernet adapter that was detected, but I do not have any Ethernet connection. As you can see, it's the normal setup. It's been hard to get it to focus properly. We'll just keep it light for the moment. So after all the troubles, we finally have our macOS Mojave 10.14.6 installed on this Ryzen laptop. Just set up the keyboard. It's done. As you can see, the battery text works, and no Wi-Fi. As you can see, my resolution is correct, that is 1080p. macOS Mojave 10.14.6, iMac Pro. I use the default configuration from GitHub, the default vanilla configuration. As you can see, the graphics is only 7 MB. This is the bad thing, but I can live with it for the time being. It's okay. As you can see, storage, I have my 1 TB hard drive. You can see my memory cards are detected properly. And let me show you one more thing. No Bluetooth audio. I have Voodoo HDA and I will get audio through the 3.5mm jack. And camera, it does detect my webcam. Ethernet works. Graphics, you can see 24-bit 1920 by 1080p Full HD display, but no 3D acceleration. As you can see, it does detect my hard disk. No USB. It will not show USB because of that generic XHCI text. There is this problem. I'm working on it and I'll be able to fix it in a few days, so do not worry about it. I'll tell you how you can boot and connect your USB tethering devices and connect to internet. As you can see, let me show you by playing a video, if I may. There may be a copyright problem, so I will not play any videos. You can test for yourself, and I'll leave it here. As you can see, everything is not so slow. It works just about fine for me. So I'll leave it here for the time being. Please leave your comments and please subscribe. I'm